Welcome back to the class. Now we're going to look at the count blank function. The count blank function is a range function and is used to count empty or blank cell. So the count blank function will count empty cells in a specified range. So all you just need to do is place your range and it will count how many cells are blank. So you can count empty cells, which includes cells that does not have data. If you use a space bar in a cell, it means you have an empty, you have a non-visible data that is hiding in the cell because a space is a character. Okay, so that's why sometimes if you're trying to use the count blank and you notice that it is still counting a particular cell, you should try to find out if that cell has a blank, a space before before a text, or even if there was no text but a space was used, that may cause a problem. Now, before I go into the class, one of the things I will also want to highlight is the fact that sometimes when we put a text in a cell, the fact that you press the space bar before typing that text makes that text to come with an additional space. So the text may not be recognized as it should. So I'm going to show you that also when we get into the worksheet where we'll be looking at count blank function. So let's go into the worksheet to look at the count blank function. Okay, so now we're going to look at count blank. Equal sign, count blank. Count blank. So it's a range function, and I will tell you what that means. So now this is, as you can see, we have picked that, and then it tells us that we have a blank cell. Now let me put a comma here and try to select this. It says you've entered too many arguments, but we were doing that for other functions, and we're able to use comma. If you have watched the video on count A, for instance, we're able to combine multiple values across range or cells. That is because this function is an array function. As you can see, you see value 1 comma value 2 is an array function. So one of the things that you need to notice when you are using a function is this parameter, this requirement. If you see array here and it puts value 1, that means that it can take more than one argument. But this, what you have here, is just a single argument, is the range. That's why it said it's a range function. So array function means you have several arrays that you can pick. You can pick array, but once it's just a single range of data, in other words, you are not combining ranges across cells. That means that it's a range function. So if you want to know what is how many blank cells you have here, you will also count for this, equals count blank. Open your bracket, select your range, close the bracket. This tells us that we have only one missing text. So we have equals count blank. Then you select this. Now someone may say, well, but we know how many blank cells are here visibly. That is because we are dealing with a small data. We're using this small data to just create an example for learning purpose. If you are dealing with a very, very large data set, you're not going to be able to count the blank cells one after the other, one by one. So you will need a function like this that will give you a trigger that there is a blank cell. So let me now go further by showing you some of the other things I said. So now, if you are making a text entry, you type a text. This is text. You type space, space, text. This is also text. But this text, this will be recognized as texe more than this, because this has space before it. So sometimes some people make entry and they don't know that they have added a blank space, So this is not a blank cell, but space before text. So now let's look at this. If this cell equals to text, equals to text, say bravo, otherwise says not quite. So I'm testing this. So what have I missed there? All right, sorry, I have a quote in between here. So that's that, instead of closing the quote at the end here. Okay, so then if cell C14 equals to text, say bravo. If not, say quite, not quite. So it says bravo. But let's see if this will apply to the rest. So what's happening here? If C15 equals text, say bravo, not quite. But it is text that is in the cell. So why is it saying not quite? Because of the space. So in Excel, this is not going to be seen as text, as the value text. So that's why if you're using some if, for instance, and you're trying to calculate using a criteria, and some of the text in your criteria have spaces before them, then there's going to be a wrong result. So you should watch out for that. That's just a bonus to the count blank function. So going back to the count blank, you want to count a range. You want to know how many blank cells you have in the range. So see you in another session when we'll be looking at another function. Bye for now.